at 4 or 5 with Christiane, and I don't know if you heard on the Fetter call when I talked about working with the sentence about what my dad said when I was a child.
No, I
And
last couple ones. So you feel
okay, because I know this is kind of like a reoccurring thing since I've met you guys. So the sentence that she had me work with was my dad didn't say, "Sweetie, get your fingers out of your mouth." Because what actually happened was he was very harsh. I felt completely devastated by how worthless I felt when he was so harsh when I was a child because I kept putting my fingers in my mouth and he's just trying to help me not get sick, whatever. But he said it in a certain way, and so I was using that sentence, and so I was doing that every day, and then every time I did it, the reaction, because the reaction at first was, that was the reaction in the beginning when I would think of how my father didn't say, "Sweetie, get your fingers out of your mouth," because that's what I wanted instead of what did happen. So over the few days, it went from sobbing, crying when I intoned the sentence to just certain little sensations like a wince in the face, and then finally nothing, no reaction. So then she said, try to intone the sentence the other way now. What did he say? So I worked with that. Like my father he said, get your fingers out of your mouth. I told you, like that. So then even like the first couple of times I would intone that sentence and there was some crying, but then again, days later, this is doing it like, for 5 minutes, 3 times a day. A couple of days later, I couldn't remember what he said. I couldn't, like when I would sit there to do the sentence, I'd be like, wait, what did he say? How did it happen? What was it like? Like I couldn't remember it anymore. Um, so I was, I told her I couldn't remember and that it was kind of just, now it was just the gap. It was just it was just silence and there was no even looking to see what would cross me over because I couldn't even remember what that was. So I was looking for kind of other things to bring back to the lab. But of course, the more you look for the reactions that happen, now you're on the lookout. So now they don't come because now you're like waiting for something, right, to react to. And some of them would start, like I would become annoyed with my daughter, but it'd be just like, oh, wait, here it is. Something's happening. Okay. And then it would just go away. You know what I mean? Like nothing would happen. So then I talked about, oh, there was something that did happen on the Fetters call that my daughter, I was playing dolls with her and she said, you're doing it all wrong, Mama. You can't do anything right. You're doing it all wrong. You're doing it wrong. And something strong was there, like I was so upset that she said that. And I was able to kind of stay with it without reacting at first, but then something, of course, pulled me to say something to her later. But so I guess my point is when I talked to Christiane too, like she said that there's still something there that says that the starting point is you're wrong. Like
absolutely.
you're gonna do it wrong. And like, there's the theme with my kids and like wanting to do it right, you guys know, like constantly like not wanting to do what was done to me to them and like so she suggested that instead of just like kind of noticing the sensations, she said I should actually label them. Like, what's this sensation like? Like so, for example, my kids were earlier they were arguing over something, and instead of just noticing like what's here, sensation wise, it's like, oh, like I'm feeling frustrated. This is frustration, or this is uncertainty. Like I don't know how to fix this for them. Like they were arguing over something, and so yeah, I guess I'm just sharing what's happening. I don't really have a question, but it's just there's something helpful now about putting the label back on as opposed to before, just like, oh, it's here, it's here, it's here. Now it's like I'm not putting a story to it, but there is something healing about like, oh, this is here. This is the sensation. Like you guys were talking about wheels, and she recommended the emotion wheel where it has all the different emotions in it, and then the smaller wheel where, the center is like the main angry, sadness, anger, happiness. But so yeah, that's what's going on. And yeah, everything is lovely and everything's just going.
Good.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm so
love it
glad to
so
hear
much.
that.
I love how you're just, allowing what is to be there. And whenever something comes up which you deem as not okay and you don't want the reaction, then you're just, instead of going into that reaction towards the reaction, you're just staying with the reaction. You're just staying with that. And yeah, I really, really love
Yeah,
that.
because I think there was something that I was doing there that I was saying I shouldn't react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think there's something to that too, that like she's like, no, 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 we're not trying to say you're not supposed to react.
No,
Nope.
it's because
Yeah.
we have a resistance, right? And the whole job is in just staying with that resistance, not having a resistance to the resistance. And that is what we do when we start to divert, right? There's a resistance happening. I feel vulnerable, so I feel a resistance to being vulnerable.
Oh, I
And
shouldn't be yeah, right.
then we advocate for diverting, for so we're resisting the resistance, and then we're completely, oh,
Yeah, and then it just goes
what do you
back to
do?
that. I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And how can you, you know?
Right,
So,
right, right.
just staying with the resistance is just beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I kind of had one other follow-up question. I'm
Go
sorry.
on.
I was just curious, when you put the labels back on, what do you find it do you get something from that? I mean, I understand
Yeah.
that you have that, but how have you found that to be beneficial?
I don't know what it is. Like as a because I was just doing just the sensations, like, oh, it's tightness, it's here. But there's something like I don't know. There's just something, it feels like more clarity, like, ah, like um or maybe it does have to, it's connected somehow to um maybe it's connected to me thinking I'm doing it wrong, because when I am able to say, oh, I'm uncertain, like I don't know how to help them right now. This is uncertainty. Um, there's something like, I don't know, healing about like, here's uncertainty and I don't know. And it's okay, I don't know. Like I'm feeling uncertain. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
And I can't do it wrong.
yeah,
Yeah,
There's just something, it's like clarity. There's some kind of clarity there.
yeah. I wondered if it gave you that so that you could feel it more readily that like,
Yeah.
okay, this is that again, and this connects to that fundamental. Okay, well, yeah, that's just that again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just that again. So it gives you that kind of
Confirmation or something, or that
with that
sounds, yeah.
that like, okay, well, that's just frustration again. I've seen that before, and I remember that it ties into
mm,
my lack of being able to do that.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's something like that. It's like it gives me, it's clearer. It's like the sensation is clearer somehow with
Mhm.
the label on it. I mean, and I guess that's okay because you think, oh, label thought, but not necessarily.
Well, it's handy, like because it can be handy both. I think there are benefits to both sides of it. Like if you, when we start off, we tend to just feel things from that standpoint. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry, not recognizing what that actually is. It's
mm,
just taken to be the label. So we struggle.
Hmm.
Then you come down to, oh, well, what am I actually feeling? Oh, there's tension in my throat. There's something here or there. Then we find out what it is that we're actually using that label to label. Now you've gotten to where you've recognized that you can sit with these things, you can feel the emotions, or feel the sensations, I should say, that are connected with these labels of the emotions, see what they have to bring you. You have these kind of cathartic, crying moments that you wouldn't get if you had just kept it at the label of feeling frustrated, feeling sad about, something, and then not going into it. So there's a benefit to going deeper underneath that to get to that feeling that has been locked in there and not felt.
Yeah.
But then I think now it's like, I guess, so two things. So I find it, I do think it's probably helpful for you to recognize in your daily life that, okay, this is yet another place where I don't know, and I'm uncertain about something, and I feel like that's connecting to my not knowing or not being able to do things right or wrong, or whatever that baseline, or that base, starting point is. So it's useful for that. The one place that I would caution, though, is to not start making that into another narrative that you get identified with. Another, oh, I'm frustrated, and then just play it off as, yep, that's me. I have a prone to frustration.
Yeah,
It's,
no, it doesn't feel like that.
I have a starting point. That's just a thing. And then don't just bypass it by making that into just some other little identification nugget or.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I only connected it that way because you asked me to look at it deeper, but in the moments, it's very like coming, go, coming, and then go. And then I think it is like that. It's like as first I had to zoom way in, now kind of zooming out. It feels like that, right? With the whole emotion thing. But yes, there's not a long dialogue story coming that's identifying. It's just like, oh, there it is. And then feel it. Oh, there. And it's like very fluid.
But also keeping in mind that when it comes up and when you react, it's because it's pointing at something that needs space and compassion and love and kindness. So it's not, the job is not done by saying, I am now reacting, I'm now staying with my reaction, and now the job is done, because it's still pointing. It's pointing at something in you that has not, been met, and that has not been loved, and it's not
Yes.
profound, and it's not, it's pointing at that still. And that's why it still, pushes the button in you, because there's still a button to be pushed. That there's still something that needs love and compassion. It's not the goal is not to be completely okay with everything. The goal is to love what the body hasn't felt was loved.
Right. And that's what Christiane said. Even give yourself the okay to feel these different emotions.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she said.
And,
yeah.
And look at where it's pointing, because it's not the emotion that's the emotion is just pointing. It's like if I'm pointing at the moon, you can't look at the finger. You need to look at what I'm pointing at. And it's the same with the emotion. The emotion comes up. It's not for us to talk about the emotion. It's to feel into what it's pointing at.
Yes.
Because the end goal is not the emotion. It's just, the emotion is just pointing.
Yeah.
And if you can't see what it's pointing at, then just throw love, compassion, and space out there, because it's something that needs love, compassion, and space.
Well, that's the thing. It's pointing at, you're doing it wrong. It's pointing at that. And so
it's pointing to a feeling of not being okay as you are.
It's funny you say that, because Christiane was asking me that. She asked me, she said, do you like yourself? Or something like that. And I couldn't answer, because it's like, what do you mean? Like, oh, who am I to like? I couldn't like, but I mean, overall, I think so. Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't have, a lot of thoughts about being critical about myself anymore since having the glimpse, but there is the thing with my kids and doing it right with them. There's that still. So,
and it's still Jaheda doing something wrong when she was 5.
right. Yeah.
It's still that you did something wrong then. So there's a big scar in you that needs love even
Yeah.
when you're doing things wrong, that you can hold the space of you doing something wrong. So now you have your kids to remind you that there's still a scar about doing something wrong. And can you still hold space for doing something wrong? It was also what I was pointing out at the first time we talked about it, where I said that, of course, you do things wrong. Your kids will end up in therapy, because all healthy kids end up in therapy. You are doing it wrong. No matter how much love you give them, then they will go into therapy because you were hovering and helicoptering them and they didn't have enough freedom. And if you're giving them freedom, then they will go into therapy because you didn't give them,
they were neglected.
They were neglected. Yeah. It doesn't matter how you do it. Healthy kids end up in therapy. So you are going to do it wrong. Can you create space for that? Then no matter what you do right now, and you're sure this is the best thing to do for my kids, it's still wrong. And that's where the not knowing comes into it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're saying wrong, but it's also like I can't know. It's more like I can't know.
It's right for you right now when you do it. Insisting that the kids need to be in bed by 7. I'm just making stuff up now. Insisting that the kids need to be in bed by 7 because that's healthy. It's a healthy habit. They should be in bed by 7. That feels right for you when you insist on that being true. But they will end up in therapy by not having autonomy and deciding when they could go to bed. It doesn't change the fact that when you insisted on it, it felt right. I'm just saying it can't be right because it's just opinion.
Okay, but it doesn't mean it's wrong or right. That's right, because it's like just you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's an opinion. It can't be right because it's just an opinion.
And there's really no way to know the outcome of anything until you see the outcome of anything.
And you will end up apologizing to your kids anyway, because that's what a good parent does.
And recognize that right and wrong, sorry.
Yeah, the unknown is scary. I always start to feel scared.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Wanting to do something right is, as you just acknowledged, it's because you're afraid of the outcome. And we only determine whether something is right or wrong based on the outcome of it. And like I just said, the outcome, we don't know it until after it happens, often long down the road, because we don't even know. We can stop arbitrarily at any point and say, well, I did the right thing because my kids woke up the next morning and got a good night's sleep, so I did the right thing. But you don't know that any number of bad things that happen because they went to bed at 7 o'clock and got a good night's sleep, that that might not be the final arbiter of whether that decision was right or wrong or good or bad.
Yeah, and that's why the wheel works so well too, because even though I had that glimpse and I could see, like it was like what Debbie was saying, how like I used to always analyze it, gotta get it right, your mind just thinks you can choose the right thing, but like you can't fucking know. Like, so even though I got that glimpse, here I am, like in this kind of space, even though it's fourth fetter, it's like it's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
Because like even though I had that glimpse, like holy shit, you can never know. Here I am still like.
But it's also acknowledging that for you, specifically for you, realizing that there is no right or wrong is particularly painful because you as a young girl felt that you did something wrong. And now you realize that actually, if you had your fingers in your mouth or didn't have your fingers in your mouth, it wasn't wrong or right. It was just your dad reacting to his reality, to his bubble, to his starting point. So it had nothing to do with you at all. But it's such a huge scar in you that you still can, today, as an adult woman, can cry about it because it's still so painful. And that is what need your love and compassion. That little Jaheda, if you can, 7 feather, go back into time and stand with her when her dad is yelling at her for having her fingers into the mouth again. And then you just stand next to her and you have her back and you say, it's okay, sweetie. It's okay. You can feel all that shame that you're feeling right now. You will land on your feet. You will be a great mom. Everything is fine. So it's okay for her to have the finger in her mouth. It's okay for whatever feeling that arose in her. You got her back now. So it's particularly difficult for you because there's a particularly hurtful experience about being wrong. And that's why you can't let go of it until the healing has completely happened in your body. You're not supposed to let go of it until the healing completely has happened in your body. Because otherwise that part will never be healed.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. I love you guys.
I love you so
Love you
much.
too.
Love you so
So
much.
good
So
seeing
good to
you.
see you.